So shall we welcome Andy?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and thank you all for coming down. Great to see so many of you carrying a book. I think that's really fantastic. How many of you can actually read a book? 1, 2, 3, 4, 40. Excellent. But what I do with the Indigenous Literacy Foundation is we go out to really remote communities, like that are hours and hours away from cities, where Indigenous kids are living. And if I was to ask how many of them could read, only 1 out of every 5 kids would be able to put up their hands. Because in those communities, a lot of them don't even have books, which is hard to believe, given that we're in a library and you've got cards which will let you take 22 books home. Some of these kids don't even have 1 book at home. So it'd be tough to learn to read without a book, wouldn't it? What would you read if you didn't have books? Nothing? Oh, there's print all around us. What have you read this morning that's not a book? Yes? Posters? Yeah?
Letters.
Letters? Did you get a letter today from a boy?
No.
Oh, that's disappointing. But you could write love letters, couldn't you? Does anyone do that? Only two girls. So letters are important. Posters. What do posters tell us? What might be on a poster that you need to read? Yep.
Maybe something that's going to be on in a market.
Something is going to be on. There's a market on. There's a, what else?
Shows on.
A show. It could be a warning poster. Have you seen those warnings in the city that you've got to watch out for rhinoceroses on skateboards? Yeah. I didn't know they were riding skateboards. Terrifying. That's not true. Why?
They don't ride skateboards.
Well, why are there all the things saying watch out for rhinoceroses on skateboards?
Because it's flags that they play 30 rhinoceros just like there's like 30 rhinoceros on skateboards.
What? Why are they telling us not to watch out for rhinoceros on skateboards if there is no such thing as rhinoceros? I can't even say it. If there's no such thing as rhinoceroses riding skateboards. Why would they put those signs up? Can anyone explain that?
Because when you're walking across the street trying to get to the other side, there might be trams coming, and rhinoceros. I can't even say it.
No,
Rhinoceroses are the weight of a tram, so when you are walking, they might hit you, so they're explaining to you.
So trams are carrying rhinoceroses because they can't ride skateboards, so they have to catch the tram. Yeah, I'm listening, but I'm really stupid. I wrote a book called Just Stupid. It was autobiographical.
It's because rhinoceros are the same weight as
Rhinoceroses are the same weight as a tram.
Yeah, so they're just saying tram.
They should probably be walking then, because they could break the tram, couldn't they? Yes.
This question.
You're exhausted with me already, aren't you? We've still got half an hour. You'll all be annoyed by the end of this. Yes?
Rhinoceros can't ride a skateboard because they're too skateboard heavy.
Because that's why rhinoceroses don't ride skateboards, because the skateboard would snap. How do you know? Have you ever given a skateboard to a rhinoceros? That would be a good experiment, wouldn't it? Next time we go to the Melbourne Zoo, throw a skateboard into the rhino's enclosure.
And then you get better for charging them
And
up.
see. It will snap. Yeah. Okay. Does trams ride skateboards? Days off? Yes. A tram weighs 30 rhinoceroses. And there's no one in the tram.
And it just waits that much.
Well, you wouldn't get anyone in a tram if there were 30 rhinoceroses in the tram, would you? That'd be very crowded. You'd have to ride on the roof. Now, obviously some of you have read the posters more carefully than I have, which is excellent. So there's no use having a poster if you can't read it. And that's the moral of the story, I think. And watch out for trams on skateboards. Yes?
It's like, if a rhino's on a skateboard,
Yeah.
it's the size of a tram and it's on wheels. So
It's not the size of
it weighs the same as a tram. But
It'd be more fun if we could get rid of the trams and just have rhinos on skateboards. And we could all be riding them around the city. I think public transport would be far more popular in that case. Yes?
A rhino goes on a skateboard, a tram. I don't know
If a rhino goes on a skateboard, a tram can cut off the thingamajiggies.
You cut off the walls and roof and everything, and then you put the rhinoceros on the platform on the bottom, and the rhinoceros.
Who's cutting off the walls? You're getting me even more confused than I already was. I think we should agree rhinos shouldn't ride skateboards and trams shouldn't ride skateboards, and you should always watch out for trams when you're crossing the road. That's what they should make a poster of, don't you think? Instead of all this nonsense about rhinos and scaring everybody. Which reminds me, a very famous book starts off with the character's parents being killed by a charging rhino in the streets of London. Which book is it?
I think it's
James and the Giant Peach. Very good, very good. That's on the very first page of that book. You'll see his parents are killed by a rhino charging through the streets of London.
on a skateboard.
Not on a skateboard. Don't be so stupid. Now, we actually aren't here to talk about rhinoceroses and skateboards, believe it or not.
Then why'd you start talking?
You started talking about it, and then you wouldn't stop talking about it.
And you're the one who asked me to tell
Wasted
her
half
that
the
you
time.
you're the one who started.
No, I just asked about it. I didn't expect to be still talking about it 10 minutes later. And I'd like to stop now. And I've prepared a short presentation about what happens out in the communities, because, as I said, it's very difficult to learn to read if you don't have books. So what the Indigenous Literacy Foundation does, and that consists of publishers and booksellers and authors and illustrators, we get books out to these communities, and I'll show you where these kids live and what some of the difficulties are. That's what you find. We're up in the Northern Territory, out in Western Australia. What'd you say? What did you say? Buzz Lightyear. Book Buzz. There are many people involved in the Indigenous Literacy Foundation. Buzz Lightyear is not one of them. He is involved in rescuing people who get into difficulties in outer space. We don't work out of space. We work in very remote areas of Australia. Over the last few years, we've raised 1.3 million and put 60,000 books in over 200 communities, and that's what you're supporting today with your with the book swap. So some of the funds are spent on book supply, some early reading books for little kids, so that kids under 5 can get a set of board books to take into their houses, and some just very specifically on different communities who need different things. And during the Queensland flood relief, a lot of books were sent out to kids and schools who lost all their books. Book buzz is what I was saying, is where the books go into the kids' houses. And this is where we're talking about, out in Warburton, which is not Warburton in Victoria, which is just over there. You go to Ayers Rock or Uluru and you drive for 13 hours straight west, and you'll come to a little community called Warburton, which looks like that. It's just surrounded by desert, and there's about 200 families who live in this community. That's one of the play centre, or the play group centre that runs there. And they've got a nice new building. It used to be in a tin shed that was air conditioned, so the kids would go along there. And these are some of the books that have gone in. You might recognise, you can see a book that they recognise there. Yes?
Very Hungry Caterpillar.
The Very Hungry Caterpillar is very popular in cities and also out in remote communities. Yes? The zoo, yes, yeah, the flat book of the zoo. And you can see there, with some of the funds, they've put the language of that particular community sits alongside the English, so that the kids can help. Because a lot of these kids speak 3 different languages, none of them English. They speak their own community's languages. And then they come to school on the first day of school when they're 5 years old, and that's the first time many of them see a book or even see English. Yes?
There's a book called These Are My Hands.
These Are My Hands, you know that one?
No.
No. It's all about hands. How many people have hands?
Me. And my hands.
It's a bit of a boring book, really. That's all it is. These are my hands.
I've only got 1 hand.
You've only got
I
one
got
hand?
4 hands. I got 4 hands.
You've got 4 hands. No, 2 of those are your feet. Okay. That's what's happening at the playgroup now. They never used to have books, but now they sit down at a certain time and they read the books. And in fact, the elders of that community are learning to read the books to the kids because they haven't done it before either. And one elder said to another ambassador one day, she said, "I've just read the book and my child wants me to read it again." That's not right, is it? And we said, yes, you read your favourite books over and over again, and that's how you learn to read and to love books. That's some more scenes in the playgroup. This, as we say, has never happened before in this community, so it's very, very exciting. That's a book for the older people in the community, teaching them how to read books. And that's a couple of very popular ones. Grug, and my mum, Mara, loves to clap, which was written in Indigenous language. And we go all over the place. Wilcannia, which is out in northern New South Wales, Manyalalook, which is 5 hours south of Darwin, the Kimberleys, which is up the top part of Western Australia, Gove, which is over near Queensland, and Borroloola, which is right near the point of Queensland. So these are going a long way, and they're all the little communities that we put
Those dots.
books into. Yeah, there are hundreds of little communities all over. And the kids there are as cheeky and disrespectful as kids anywhere. I think she's trying to give me rabbit ears. 2 pairs. But they are a lot of fun and they love to laugh just like all of you. Well, that's some more kids. And what I do is go in and make some books, and I'll show you some of those books that we make. We actually published, has anyone seen this book, The Naked Boy and the Crocodile? Only 3 of you. These are stories that the kids write, and when I started writing myself, what I would do is get a piece of paper, and I'd do this very complicated thing, where you fold it into 3 strips. There's going to be a test on this later, so look very carefully. 3 strips, and then you do that. Okay, you make 3 strips there, then you fold them in the middle, and you do that. It's a complicated origami move from ancient Japan. Like that. And there you have a little book. And they are the first books that I started writing myself. So there's nothing in this book at the moment. But ILF presentation with Andy Griffiths. Obviously I'm just showing you the form, but if you want to do this when you go back to class, it's a lot of fun. And we could make the title of a book. What should we call that book? Yes?
Andy Griffiths.
Andy Griffiths student. Terrible idea. Yes?
The naked girl and the...
Rhinoceros.
The naked girl and the rhinoceros on the skateboard.
Naked girl and rhino on a skateboard. I think I know how this is going to end already. What about a naked rhinoceros on a skateboard?
They are already
Naked
Now,
rhinoceros.
what I do to make a book is we think up a title, which we've just done, and then I draw a square in the middle. Are you all in the same year level?
Yes.
Is it year 3?
Yes.
So the dumb kids in year 3, Billy North. So I've put the authors there. You're not dumb. They're kids. They're kids at Willie North, and what I need is someone to draw a picture of a girl, a naked girl, and a rhino on a skateboard. Who's the kind of... You won a drawing competition. That's okay. Now, while we get this, I'll show you this story. And you've seen how they start now. Title, picture, and bit of information. Alright. The Naked Boy and the Crocodile by Lazarus Edwards. Once upon a time, there was an old croc who was hungry. He was looking for food. His favourite food was people. The thing he liked most was naked people. One day, Alex was swimming naked in the water when the old croc snuck up and swallowed him, and then the croc's guts was aching, so he pooped him out, and the boy escaped. The end.
That's a good story.
Now you notice what I really like about the story is Alex has escaped, but what's he got after him now? He's in an even worse position because there's 5 crocodiles, and if he falls off that D, he's going to get eaten. Now a lot of these kids aren't actually living with crocodiles, well not living, they're not living in a house with crocodiles, but they have crocodiles in the rivers around them. One school I went to in Daly Creek had a big cyclone fence all around it. And I said, is that to stop the kids escaping? And they said, no, it's to stop the crocodiles getting in at lunch times and eating the children. So I assume you don't have crocodile problems at Willie North? You do? Oh, is that it looks like a horse. No, she looks pretty good. She's got no arm. Oh yes, she has. She's got no clothes.
That's my worst picture.
That's your worst picture ever. That's pretty good. That's better than I can do. And there's a horse on a skateboard. Beautiful. That is a lovely start. Now, We could keep writing that. Once upon a time, there was a girl who liked to ride her skateboard. And then we might use that page in the notes. Okay, let's have a look at a couple more. Oh, now in the community where Lazarus Edward lives, which is Wyndham in Western Australia, they have a giant crocodile in the main street there. That's not actually real. Don't be scared. And that's Lazarus there, who wrote The Naked Boy and the Crocodile. And a number of the other kids wrote some pretty funny stories too about being chased by crazy turkeys, about going pig hunting, emu egg collecting. They go out and take the emu eggs out of the nest after they chase the dad off. So they're living really, really amazing lives. That's all the kids at Wyndham with some of the books that we've brought in from the Indigenous Literacy Foundation. Yeah, some of my books there. Now, this is a place called Yakanara, and to get here you have to fly to Fitzroy Crossing, which will take you about 4 or 5 hours. Then you need to drive for 3 hours south, and you go through a lot of beautiful country, a lot of cows there. None of them on skateboards, you'll notice. They don't have skateboards out this far. That's some Brolgas. They're not on skateboards either. Oh, lots of anthills. If you like ants and anthills, there are just millions and millions of anthills. Some of them weigh as big as this room. Some very, very small. It changes all the time.
How come you're taking pictures of the animals instead of books?
Because we're in the car for hours and hours and hours, so I've got to do something apart from annoy the driver. No, we're never there yet. Indigenous. Oh, there's a goanna. And Deb Danks, who's an Indigenous woman, we were travelling with her. She arranges a lot of visits. She said, "Oh, they are the best tasting meat in the outback." And she said, "I'd love to go and get that now, and we could build a fire and eat it." And I said, "Why don't you?" And she said, "Because it's not my country." And she said, "You don't go to your friend's house and just go into their pantry and their fridge and start eating everything you can find." I assume. Does anyone just walk into people's houses and eat everything they can? Yeah, well. But they really respect each other's spaces and the land. But so she didn't. That is still alive as far as I know. The next day we're getting to the school. The next day we caught a plane because we didn't have much time, and it took an hour to get out there by plane. That's the community of Yakanara, looking very green and looking a bit like the surface of Mars. These mountains. And they love to go, the kids love to go up onto this particular mountain and watch the planes coming in on the airstrip and roll rocks down the mountain. Hopefully they won't hit the airstrip as the planes are trying to land. That's the airport.
Wow.
It's a major international airport. Yeah.
Wow. That's the best airport. That is really expensive. Wow, that is...
That's the lookout where they roll their rocks. That's the signs. And these are dry communities, so they don't allow alcohol. Is there? Yeah, it says no rhinos on skateboards allowed. That's that one just there. And that's their school. It's quite a beautiful little school. It's got grass at least around there. If you stand out the front of the school and look left, you'll see the type of country it really is. And if you look straight ahead, you'll see their new football oval, which they're very proud of. And it's what? It's got the goals. It's got goals.
It's like grass.
There's got no grass, and they don't have to wear shoes either. The kids all run around with bare feet, kicking the ball on that. They are very, very tough. Yes?
Why are you wanted for being very annoying?
Why am I wanted?
For being very annoying.
For being very
so this book of yours, this doom.
Yeah. It's in the book, is it?
Yep. Say wanted for being very annoying, Andy Griffiths. Writer.
Oh, don't take any notice of that. A lot of stupid rubbish. That's looking out the other side towards the mountains. That's some of the students at recess. They have a lot of dogs in the schools, which is very unlike our schools. The dogs just wander around. He wasn't very happy about me taking, well, I think it's a her actually. That's probably why. So I said, hey mate, would you like mind me taking your photo? That's their library, which is, you'll notice, quite a bit smaller. And a lot of those books are being supplied by the Indigenous Literacy Foundation. More dogs. Yeah, they have dogs only classes there. So the dogs can learn to read as well. Now that's me with the little kids. And we are reading a very scary story from The Naked Boy and the Crocodile, which involves some girls who go out to the bush. And do you ever tell each other ghost stories? Yes. Scary stories on sleepovers? Yes. These girls did that, and what they did was draw pictures in the sand. So it's called telling story with a wire on the ground. And they got a wire, and they drew a very, very scary face in the sand, and they called it a mamu. And then the picture that they drew started to speak to them, and it said, "Run away or I will kill you." And so the girls all ran away. You can see them running away in terror there. And they ran all the way home, and the thing that was chasing them looked like that. It's pretty creepy, isn't it? You'll probably have nightmares tonight. But I like that because they were telling each other scary stories, and I read that story to these kids, and they all wanted to immediately draw their own pictures of monsters. There is the mamu. And so that's another thing we do, is run little writing workshops where they're drawing. This is in the bigger kids class, and we made little books there. And one boy wrote a story, how to roll rocks down a mountain. So that's another thing you do with the stories, is make them instructions. And this is the book. Number 1, climb a mountain. The best mountain in Yakanara is the Lookout. 2, pick a good rock, a big flat one. 3, roll it down the mountain. Then you do it again, and again, and again. Isn't that a fantastic picture? It's like bombs exploding. Which they probably are by the time they get into the bottom of the mountain. I don't think she liked me taking her photo. Just a guess. But these girls had their hands all covered in pen, and I said, what does all this mean? And it was a way of finding out who you're going to marry when you grow up. And you had to pick a number, and then when you picked the number, you got a particular finger, and that was the initials of the boys that you could marry in this particular class. Do you ever do that with those little paper things? Chatterboxes. Yeah. That's just their own version of it. Here's a love story. Would you like a love story?
Yes.
Yeah, you would really. The Girls and the Anaconda. One day, Rihanna, Mary and Kasaya went to meet their boyfriends in the bush. They had just seen the boys.
That was Ted.
They had just seen the boys and started to walk towards them when a huge anaconda gobbled the boys up. I like this picture of the boys inside the anaconda. The girls ran away crying. The anaconda slid over a sharp rock and slit its stomach, and the boys got out. They all hugged and kissed. This book was written by Amy Lee Keogh. It is not based on real life, but the characters are real and they were in love. True story.
So the boys got eaten by the anaconda?
Yes. No, that's not true. But they were in love. Here's a game that the boys and the girls invented at Yakanara, how to play upper primary football. It's a mix of every type of football game you can imagine. Soccer, Australian rules, rugby, and they use an American style football. You need 5 on each side and the team colours are blue and yellow. And before you can throw a goal, you have to throw the ball to every member of the team. And then when everyone's touched it, then you can do the score. First you have to get 2 cricket wickets for each side and American footy. It's a bit out of order, this book, but that's okay. You have to throw the ball up for 1 bounce, then you throw to your teammates to get a goal. So that's another book. So these books, you can write them on anything, and they really, really love doing it. And that's me with all the proud authors.
Look at the girl next to the Adelaide Voyage.
Which one? This one?
Yeah.
Look at the girl on that.
Yeah. Like girls everywhere, they're really silly. Notice the boys being sensible and behaving themselves.
I'm a boy.
No, you don't. He is.
I was behaving myself at that moment. Now this is, so that's some of the work I do. I'm writing a book about how to write books. That'll come out next April. It's called Once Upon a Slime, 50 Ways to Get Writing Fast. So that's the book I'm working on at the moment. And that must be the end of the slideshow. There you go. Any questions? Any questions not about rhinoceroses? Yeah. I've made about 24 books now. The latest one was the one about the very big treehouse. 26-story treehouse. Yeah, which came out of the 13-story treehouse. Yes?
What treehouse is your highest? Have you like this one? Is it the 26th one? Is that your highest you've made?
No, I'm actually writing at the moment the 39-story treehouse. It's going to have...
13-story treehouse.
Oh, it started with a 13-story treehouse, then it went to 26, and now I'm adding a roller coaster to go around the outside, and an erupting volcano. So you've got something to toast your marshmallows in. I think it's very important. Yes?
What was your favourite book you made?
My favourite book?
Yeah.
I hate that question. Because I love them all, but just annoying. That was fun to write because I'm really annoying, as you noticed. It's a bad book. I like. Just Disgusting. It's got one of my favourite stories in. It's a horror story actually, called Two Brown Logs. Terrifying. I was in the bath one day and there were 2 brown logs in the bath with me, and I didn't know what they were or where they'd come from. All I knew was that they were bobbing around trying to get me, and I had to get away from them.
Is that true? What was?
No. Yes, it is true. I was chased. Everywhere I moved in the bath, they kept bobbing closer and closer and closer. And finally, I moved around and they separated and attacked me from 2 sides. Very serious bathtub situation. And I did the only thing you can do in that situation. I ate them. No, they weren't chocolate. They tasted like poo. don't know what they were doing in the mud. I was in the bath to get clean, not to do food. Yes. Am I sure boys are more sensible than girls?
Yes.
Not completely, no. But an interesting fact. Can I have the disgusting book? There is some very interesting research that I published in this book.
Hang
on, if I can find the disgusting list.
That went for really long.
Oh, it's 101 disgusting things.
I read all.
You read all of them? You idiot. Didn't you start off and think, this is just disgusting, I'm going to read something nice? Number 1, Brussels sprouts. Number 2, maggots. Number 3, Brussels sprouts with maggots in them. Number 4, picking your nose. Number 5, picking your nose and eating it. Number 6, picking somebody else's nose and eating it. I mean, by number 6, wouldn't you be thinking, I've had enough of that? No! Readers are very strange people. Actually, this isn't where the research I was looking for is, but there is a list of dangerous things in Just Shocking. And one of the most dangerous things in the world are girl germs. It's been scientifically proven by me and my best friend Danny that girl germs are the most dangerous germs on the planet. Anybody who's ever touched a girl, been in the same room as a girl, or even thought about a girl should immediately run to the nearest hospital before it's anybody who is a girl, unfortunately for you, it already is too late. But there's been some good research recently to show that boy germs are not only not dangerous, but they may be actually good for you. So, if you're a girl, what you should do is grab the boy nearest to you and kiss him. And I'm not saying you have to. And boys, it would be nice to offer. Don't just wait for them to catch you. Be a gentleman.
I'm not afraid to use it.
Yes.
It might be disgusting, but I sleep my brother and I, he sleeps at the top, we sleep in the same room, and all the time, whenever I'm in bed and he's sleeping, I always sneak up to his bed, and I always...
You always hurt him.
I always jump up, and I pull his head up, and I go...
You pull his head off? Terrifying.
I lift him up and I push him to the side and whenever I pull his sheets up, and so whenever Mum comes, she goes, Massimo, your bed is terrible. Your sheets are always off at night because she comes in night and he always gets in trouble.
So his sheets are off, his head is off. Blood all over the bed.
His sheets are off the sheets are off the
Do you pull his pyjamas off as well? He always wakes up. Yeah.
And Mum goes in the room and goes, I told you 15 times already. Sheets off.
Maybe he wouldn't wake up if you didn't pull his head off. He'd do a lot more. Actually, I'm going to finish, but I'll tell you the scariest thing I ever heard anyone do. It was my wife, actually, when she was little. her brother knew that she was scared of the boogie monster hiding under the bed.
Oh my God.
As I was. I thought if you went too close to the edge of the bed, a hand would come out and grab your leg. So I used to jump from the bedroom all the way over onto the bed, so I didn't get caught by the hand. But my wife's brother, she knew she was scared of the boogie monster, and he went in and hid under the bed just before she went to sleep. And she went to sleep, turned off the light for about 5 minutes, then he waited and he reached up and grabbed her throat. And she was so scared she had a heart attack and died. Well, she didn't actually die. No, I couldn't have married her if she died.
Actually, you couldn't have been a son.
I could have what? I could have married her.
You could have married her dead. You could marry her skull. You could marry a dead baby.
I think we're at the end of the talk now, aren't we? Telling me to marry a dead lady. One last comment, yes.
Can you sign my book?
No. No, I'm busy doing a talk. But when I finish the talk, I'll be very happy to sign it. I think we are going to do a book swap now. So that's my part. Thank you very much. I will be hanging around and I'll see each of you after we finish. But back to Rosemary. Thank you.
Highly informative and highly amusing. I think amusing might win. But who learned something about the Indigenous Literacy Project? Fantastic. You're going to go home and tell your parents? Yeah? So if you want to know more, there's more information to give to your parents in these brochures, so you can all have one of those. And also there's a website. And if you want to learn more about Indigenous people and communities, we've got a lot of books downstairs in the library that you can borrow as well. And we have Andy's book. Hopefully, I'm sure we have, in our collection, so you can borrow that as well. Okay, so who has come prepared to be part of the book swap today, which raises funds to get books into Indigenous communities? Fantastic. So you might have seen that, you came in the front door. Down near the back door, we've got a whole lot of books on tables that are going to be part of the swap. And we've got a money box that we're collecting at the end of the swap. So we're all going to go downstairs and participate in that. I think Andy's coming down as well. And you kids have brought books for him to sign before you swap it. He'll be able to do that down there as well. And then, I'm not sure what time you're going back, but if you've got time, Sarah over here will show you around the library as well. So we'll see what we teach. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And thank you to all the adults who came. I'm sure you learned a lot as well.